The watch I have in my hand, this is special. We just arrived in Edinburgh today. Vacheron sent us out. So, this is on? So, Vacheron sent us out a watch. And this is something special. Welcome back to Time on the Wrist at Chisholm Hunter. My name is Harrison, as always, and today I woke up wanting to remortgage my house, sell my car, and my watch collection. Purely because of this Vacheron Constantin model. It's the Overseas Tourbillon Titanium. It's not often that a watch leaves me quite speechless. It's not often, after being in the industry for so long, that a watch wants me wanting more, to look into the history more, to look into the facts, to look into the movement. But this watch did all of those things. This model is the first tourbillon skeleton watch in the Overseas collection. It's also the first grade 5 titanium watch in the Overseas collection with an integrated bracelet. That is 2 firsts for Vacheron. Now, of course, I changed this over to the rubber because I'm a rubber man, always have been. I love my rubber straps, and especially on the Vacheron, I think they just fit so much better, and the aesthetic of this watch is just jaw-droppingly stunning. The Overseas collection as a whole, we filmed quite a lot of them, they've grown so hugely in popularity, and it's no wonder why. Vacheron's watchmaking is truly a work of art, and they just simply can't keep up with the demand of the watches. Let's get into some of the specs of these watches. Now, there are 2 versions of this watch. There's either the 18 karat 5N pink gold version, which of course is a lot heavier than the version that I have. I have the grade 5 titanium. If it were me, if I was wanting a dress watch, I would probably go for the pink gold because it's just stunning. I mean, I've never seen it in person because it's very hard to find, but it is stunning. If I wanted to wear a watch every day or take a watch on holiday with me, titanium would suit the bill because of how hard the material is. And that's partly why I'm drawn to the titanium, because my lifestyle is a very outdoorsy lifestyle. So this watch, I just hate the fact it's so expensive because I really want one. For this review though, let's stick with the titanium version that I have in my hands at the moment. It comes in at 42.5 millimeters in diameter, and this is insane. It comes in at 10.39 millimeters in thickness. This is fully automatic with a tourbillon, and it's a skeleton model, and it comes in at 10.39 millimeters in thickness. Never in my watch career, which has gone on for 7 years, have I ever seen a tourbillon model that is that thin. It's insane. The case and the bracelet of this model, of course, comes in grade 5 titanium, which is an extremely difficult metal to work with. And actually, it's probably approaching one of my favorite metals in the industry. I've said this in a couple of reviews recently, actually. I just love the hardy nature of it, the darkened nature of it, the darkened feel of it, the understated feel of it. It is an expensive metal without screaming that it's an expensive metal. Now, following on from that, they've actually got polished on the case of this model. The iconic Vacheron bezel that we've all grown to love is polished titanium. Now, that is a very difficult thing to do, and it contrasts wonderfully with the brushed titanium underneath it. Now, you can also get a bracelet. I took the bracelet off for the rubber strap, and that is in titanium, or you can get the leather strap, depending on what style you want to go for, whereabouts in the world you are, and just what you want your watch to look like. A strap can totally change the aesthetics of a watch. For example, the rubber strap, to me, makes this look more sporty, whereas the bracelet would make it look more dressy, and the vintage, or the leather would make it look more vintage. So it's a pretty good thing that you get all 3 options with this watch. Personally, I keep it on the rubber, but that's just your choice. You know, someone asked me quite recently what my favorite clasp in the watch industry was. It was actually in our Q&A video that we've done quite recently. I'll link it up there for you. This is my favorite clasp in the industry. It's a butterfly clasp with the Vacheron logo positioned right above it. It's just absolutely stunning. Adding to that, you have the 70s designed integrated bracelet, which seems to catch the light at every stage of use. It's just beautiful. To add to this, the bracelet on this model is extremely lightweight, being grade 5 titanium. It is extremely sporty feeling. But this is where some confusion lies for me. Because this watch is a hybrid between a dress watch and between a sports watch, it depends on your use which metal you should go for. Personally, if I was using this for a dress watch, I would want a bit of heft. I would want a bit of weight to it. So I would go with the gold version. Whereas if it was more sporty and I wanted that durability and lightweight feel, I would go for, of course, the grade 5 titanium. I guess this is really your personal preference and what you're going to use this watch for, but I would love to know, so let me know in the comments. The water resistance in this model is approximately 50 meters, and that's supported by a screw down crown. Now, a 50-meter water resistance is probably more than you'll ever need. You can go swimming with this, you can go to the shower or the bath, of course. I wouldn't perhaps go scuba diving, but 90% of people, it will cover you. The crown that supports that water resistance is, of course, perfectly proportioned. And I'm going to say that again because Vacheron's awesome. Perfectly proportioned. And following on from that, other brands sometimes can over-accentuate their crowns, make them a little bit too bulky, a little bit too big. I've seen this across the board in a couple of other brands, and I'm really glad that Vacheron haven't done that. They've not changed from their core look, and they're staying true to their heritage. So I'm a big fan. Moving quickly onto the face of this model, which is by far one of the most strikingly beautiful dials and faces I've seen in a long, long time. But before we do, if you enjoy Vacheron watches, if you like Vacheron watches, then do be sure to check them out. They were kind enough to send us this watch. They are located on Frederick Street in Edinburgh, just beside the Chisholm Hunter store. They're actually our neighbours, funnily enough, which is great for me because I can dip in and out. The store is over 2 levels. It has a VIP section, a champagne bar. Come in, have a drink, check out some awesome watches, and I'll see you there. The dial on this model is, of course, skeletonized. We'll move on to the details of that dial and the fact that it's a tourbillon in a second, but the hands and our markers are both made from 18 karat white gold. That's the level of detail that Vacheron go into here. The hands and the indices, the hour markers, are both white gold. Now let's move on to that tourbillon, which is the beating heart of this watch. Let's talk about a bit about what a tourbillon actually is, why it's special, and who invented it. A tourbillon, which you can see on the dial here, is a mechanism that constantly rotates the balance wheel, balance spring, and escapement while the movement is running. This is done to counter the effects of gravity on the properties of the balance wheel and spring. And this pretty much increases the accuracy of the watch. It was developed around 1795 and patented by the Swiss-French watchmaker Abraham Louis Breguet on June the 26th, 1801. The hands and the indices are, of course, filled with superluminova, which shines extremely bright in the dark and gives you extra readability in the dark. The Vacheron logo is positioned really comfortably at 12 o'clock, and even though it is quite intense, the dial of this watch, because it's a skeletonized dial with that tourbillon, the beating heart ticking away, it's still very clear to read because of the white filling to the hands and the indices. Sometimes skeletonized watches can get a little bit overcrowded and a little bit uncomfortable to look at because there's just so much going on, but I don't feel this has gone that way. I think that it's still highly readable, and you also have the added benefit of enjoying that beautiful work of art that's inside of it. A really cool detail on this dial, a really nerdy detail on this dial, is that if you actually look at the tourbillon, the shape of the tourbillon ticking round, the beating heart, it's the shape of the Vacheron logo. That's really cool. To add to that, it has sapphire crystal glass on the back and the front, so you can see into the movement either on the back or the front. Each Vacheron is handcrafted genius. I need to say that because each handcrafted rotor is different. Each rotor is handcrafted by an artisan at Vacheron, making each one unique to the watch. It's pretty cool. This watch has the caliber 2160SQ movement, developed and manufactured by Vacheron itself. It is self-winding, has a peripheral rotor, Comes in at 31mm in diameter, 5.65mm in thickness, and has approximately an 80-hour power reserve. It beats 18,000 vibrations per hour, has 186 components, and has 30 joules. It also has the hallmark of Geneva. You know, this watch really is something special, and I actually do want to keep hold of it for a bit longer. I want to do a more in-depth review with it. I think that's what this channel needs. If you want to see that, please comment below, and I will see you next time.